Hey everyone, it's Hale from Destination Thrills, and we're back with another coaster battle here. This time we're doing the B&M Invert Coaster Tournament. This is the first time I've taken the B&M Inverts and matched them up in a bracket to see which one comes out on top. I'm very excited for this one just because I really don't know who's going to win this one. I know I say that a lot, but this one, I don't know what you guys are going to pick for the best invert in the world, or the best B&M invert in the world. I've only been on a handful of inverts, so I will have some commentary in this, but there's going to be a lot of coasters that we discussed that I have not been on before, so I'm just going to kind of rely on things I've heard other people say about these coasters. But yeah, let's go into the rules of this duel. We have 16 B&M inverts going head to head. Yes, we did have to leave some inverts out of the tournament, but it's an even number to do with 16, so I picked 16 inverts to go head-to-head in a single elimination bracket. I posted each head-to-head matchup to my Instagram story, and the coaster that received the most votes would then win and move on to the next round. Now, as always with these tournaments, I do a consolation bracket for those who lose in the final 8, and again, these are all inverted coasters from Bollinger and Mabillard from all across the world. So we have tons of quality coasters involved in this tournament, and that's why I think it's going to be such a really fun time to go through these results here. All right, so let's just jump right into the bracket. I know we're moving through kind of quickly here, but let's just get right to it. I'm so excited for these results. This bracket was not easy to put together because, again, I'm kind of going in blind. I don't know what the number one invert is going to be. I can kind of give you a general top 5, but honestly, it was really tough to see these, and I know some of you are going to be like, this matchup is a bad matchup, and you know, we'll learn and we'll probably put together a better bracket next time around, but I just had to go with my gut on this one. And so for the number 1 seed, I picked Nemesis. For the number 2 seed, I picked Afterburn at Carowinds. And then the number 3 seed I have on the top right, which is Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. And then finally the 4th seed is Banshee at Kings Island. So as you can see, we have some really popular coasters in this tournament and a lot of really good matches to start. The one I'm kind of looking forward to is the Batman clones versus Banshee. The Batman clones could be a sleeper here. They've gained some popularity recently, but Banshee has kind of been the, I would say, the top dog, definitely in that top 5 range of coasters I think will do well in this tournament. All right, so let's jump right into the results here. On the top left, as you can see, we have the number 1 seed Nemesis going against Osiris. I think I'm saying that right. You guys can correct me in the comments below. But I did have a play-in matchup that happened right before the tournament started, and I had Osiris taking on Monster from Walligator Park. I think that's how you say that as well. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing these, but Osiris did win that matchup, and so now Osiris is going to be taking on Nemesis. A tough matchup. Here are these 2 European coasters going head to head. Again, I think Nemesis is going to do very well. I have it as the number 1 seed. What might cause Nemesis issues is that I do have a lot of American voters that probably have not ridden Nemesis yet, and so coasters like Banshee, Afterburn, and Raptor are going to be in the forefront of their minds and probably more popular to them. So that could play a factor here, but I think if you asked globally, Nemesis would be a top 5 invert for sure. So I think it's going to do well in this tournament. I think it wins this first round. All right, so the first matchup results are Nemesis winning with 80% of the vote over Osiris. All right, let's get to our next round. We have Alpengeist versus Nemesis Inferno. I haven't been on either of these coasters, so I wouldn't say I know which one would be better. I'm just kind of looking at the layouts. They both look really fun. So it's kind of a toss-up for me. I'm not sure which one I would prefer. So let's see what you all voted. And Alpengeist wins with 83% of the vote. So Alpengeist moving on to face Nemesis in the next round. Okay, next we have Katoon versus Talon. This is going to be a good matchup here. Both coasters look fun. I haven't been on either of these as well. Talon doesn't get a lot of talk, or at least when I think of coasters, I don't think of Talon as being one that's really talked about when it comes to B&M inverts. But again, Katoon could also fly under the radar as well. So these are kind of some underrated coasters, I would say, at least in my opinion. Let's see which one comes out on top. And the winner is Talon at Dorney Park with 52% of the vote. So Talon moving on to the next round. All right, we have the Batman clones versus Banshee. Now, I've been on both of these, and I'm a big Batman clone fan. I like the compact nature of the layout. I love how quickly it does its elements and just how intense the ride feels. Now, Banshee is a pretty intense ride as well. If you've seen my vlog, which I will pin in the card above from Kings Island this year, I got to ride Banshee again, and I did discuss how I thought the ride is a little bit rattly, and that kind of took away from the experience. I think the layout is pretty strong, and I love how long the coaster is. but that rattle does take away some of that ride for me. I love how smooth Batman the ride is at Six Flags St. Louis. I've been on the one at Six Flags Over Texas, which has been fun, and of course one at Six Flags Great America, and they've all been really good experiences for me. So for me, I have to go with the Batman the ride clones, but a lot of people think Banshee is the best invert in the world, so we'll see who wins. And Banshee's gonna clearly win this one with 82% of the vote, so Banshee moving on to our final 8. All right, next up we have Montu versus Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet, I've never been on that one. I have been on Montu. This was like early, like before I was this huge coaster nerd, and Montu was just so intense. I rode back seat 3 times in a row, and like looking back, I would have been like, whoa, why did I do that? But man, it wore me out. That's just how intense Montu is. And yeah, it's a phenomenal ride. I can't wait to do it again now that it's been 5 years since I last rode it, just to kind of get that experience again. So hopefully I get to ride it soon, but haven't been on Silver Bullet, so tough for me to judge which one's better here. But I think the popularity is going to go with Montu. Again, Montu is another coaster that people argue could be the #1 invert. So we'll see who wins. And it's going to be Montu with 88% of the vote. So Montu will be in our final 8. And going up against Montu will be the winner of this matchup, which is Flight Deck versus Black Mamba. Black Mamba is a very popular coaster in the community, I feel like, when it comes to B&M inverts overseas in Europe. Nemesis and Black Mamba are like the ones I can always think of off the top of my head if someone asks me, you know, name an invert in Europe. Those are the 2 that come to mind. Both layouts look good. Flight Deck's layout looks pretty fun, and so does Black Mamba, so I'm not sure which one I would choose. Maybe go with Black Mamba here, but let's see who won. And the winner is Black Mamba with 74% of the vote. So a huge win over Flight Deck here. And Black Mamba will be going up against Montu in our final 8. That's going to be a good matchup to watch. All right, next up we have Raptor versus Patriot. I've been on both of these as well. I am a big Patriot fan just because of how unique that layout is. Also, it's at Worlds of Fun, so I've been on it a bunch. I also really enjoy Raptor as well. Raptor has a fairly, I wouldn't say a unique layout, but it does things differently that I'm not used to on inverts. It's just the way the layout is built. It's just kind of quirky, and I really like that about Raptor. And also, it provides a very long experience. So, you know, I like both of these. It's tough to say which one. I mean, if I had to look at them on a rankings list, I probably have them right next to each other. At the moment, I would probably favor Raptor just because it's a little bit longer, but both coasters are really fun. So the winner is, it is Raptor with 85% of the vote. So a huge victory here. Moving on to the final 8. And then next up we have Great Bear versus Afterburn. 2 coasters I'm really excited to ride. Afterburn, I've heard so much talk about Afterburn at Carowinds and how intense the ride is. So that is definitely a bucket list invert of mine. And so is Great Bear. Great Bear kind of just flies under the radar. There's so many good coasters at Hershey's Park that Great Bear doesn't get talked about a lot. But what I've heard is that it's super underrated and that a lot of people like it. I got a lot of DMs when it was losing. In the beginning of this matchup, it was actually losing to Afterburn. And people were DMing me like, why is Great Bear losing? It's such a fantastic ride. So definitely underrated. But we'll see if it made a comeback. And it did not. Unfortunately, Afterburn will win with 64% of the vote. So maybe something in the future, I'll probably match it up against a little bit lower ranked opponent just to see how it fares if I were to do this tournament again. But yeah, Afterburn moving on to the final 8. So our final 8 is locked here, and let's get into those results. First off, we have Nemesis versus Alpengeist. Again, Nemesis, probably the most popular inverted coaster in Europe. A lot of people vote it as like one of the top coasters in Europe in general. So I think Nemesis has a really good shot to go far here. Alpengeist at Busch Gardens Williamsburg looks like a fun ride as well. But let's see who wins here. And the winner is a shocker. Alpengeist wins with 54% of the vote. So Alpengeist taking out the #1 seed in the final 8. This was sort of shocking for me when I first saw this result because I was just like, wow, I thought Nemesis had a chance at winning this thing. And then a coaster like Alpengeist, which I don't see as many people saying as the top invert. Maybe I'm just not, you know, paying attention enough, but it looks like Alpengeist here wins with a slim victory over Nemesis. Not a result I thought I was going to see in this tournament. All right, let's see if the upsets continue. We have Talon versus Banshee. This one I really would be shocked if Talon upsets Banshee here, just because Banshee has a lot of talk. There's a lot of Ohio fans that vote in this tournament, so I have a feeling Banshee's going to get that support that it needs to go further. And it does. Banshee wins with 83% of the vote, so an absolute slaughter of Talon. And Banshee will be going up against Alpengeist in the semifinals. It'll be cool to see if Alpengeist actually just upsets this entire tournament. That would be something cool to see. All right, moving on to the other side of our bracket, we have Montu versus Black Mamba here. This might come to, like I said, that kind of that American voter bias. More American voters have probably been on Montu than they have been on Black Mamba, so I think that's going to give Montu the edge. But let's see who won, and yeah, Montu wins here with 75% of the vote. And also, I mean, Montu is just a phenomenal invert, so again, no surprise, it's moving on to our final four. All right, next up we have Raptor versus Afterburn. This is gonna be a close battle. Again, I know there's a lot of Cedar Point fans that vote, so I have a feeling that Raptor's gonna have some momentum here. However, Afterburn, I've heard a lot of people say, is also a #1 invert. So this could be a toss-up, but if I were to pick, I would say I think Afterburn is going to win this matchup. And the winner is Raptor with 57% of the vote, so a tight win here. But Raptor upsets Afterburn and will be moving on to the semifinals. So 2 upsets, or at least upsets in my opinion, happening in this tournament. This is a wild finish we're going to see here. And our semifinal comes down to Banshee versus Alpengeist, and then Montu versus Raptor. We are set up for a phenomenal semifinal. And then we also have the consolation bracket. We have Nemesis that's going to go up against Talon, and we have Black Mamba versus Afterburn. All right, let's start out with the consolation bracket now that we're here. And we have Nemesis versus Talon. Again, I thought Nemesis was going to go all the way, and then it fell short against Alpengeist, so it wouldn't surprise me if Talon upsets here as well. We'll have to see. And our winner between Nemesis and Talon is Nemesis with 75% of the vote. So Nemesis moving on to the 5th place matchup, and we'll see Talon from Dorney Park in our 7th place battle. All right, next up we have Black Mamba versus Afterburn. This is another toss-up matchup. It could be either way. American voters might vote Afterburn here, but again, Black Mamba does have some clout, so we'll see who is the victor. And it is going to be Black Mamba with 51% of the vote, so a tight battle here. All right, and the votes, it literally came down to Black Mamba with 301 votes and Afterburn with 284 votes. Wow, that was a pretty tight finish. But yeah, Black Mamba will be going to our 5th place matchup to take on Nemesis, and then it will be Afterburn versus Talon for 7th. Just the fact that I'm saying Afterburn is going to be going in our 7th place matchup just blows my mind, because I've heard so much talk about that coaster being one of the best. And so to see it battling for 7th is a little bit shocking for me, I'll be honest. All right, it's time to move on to our semifinal matchups. And we have Alpengeist versus Banshee. And will Alpengeist continue its upset run here? The Cinderella story of the B&M Invert Tournament was Alpengeist. I would never have believed it from the beginning here, but Alpengeist is here in our semifinal matchups. It's got a tough match against Banshee. Banshee is very popular right now. It's one of the newest inverts in the United States, so it's gotten a lot of talk recently. I have a feeling it's going to win here, but let's see if Alpengeist can continue its crazy run. And Banshee will win with 59% of the vote. So Alpengeist falls a little bit short of the finals here, but still going to be battling out for 3rd place. And Banshee, not much of a surprise here, will be in our finals. All right, our last semifinal matchup, we have Montu versus Raptor. And again, how many Cedar Point fans are going to be voting in this tournament? And how many of them actually think that Raptor is better than Montu? Montu, you know, starting to look like the front runner in this tournament with Nemesis and Afterburn gone. I would say that, you know, Montu looks like a front runner to me. And we'll have to see if it continues to move on. But a tough opponent here in Raptor. Being on both, I would say that Montu is just a little bit better, but I do see where people would say that Raptor is better. They're very close, in my opinion, when it comes to my personal rankings. So the winner of Montu and Raptor is Montu with 75% of the vote. Wow, that is an absolute killing of a victory. 75% of the vote, Montu. Moving on to the finals, Raptor will be facing off against Alpengeist for 3rd place. So we have some really good matchups here. Our championship being Montu versus Banshee, and both are phenomenal coasters, so I can't wait to get to that matchup. But let's start with our 7th place battle. We have Afterburn versus Talon. I think Afterburn has to have the edge here. I don't know, I picked it to kind of go far. I had it as the 2 seed, and now it's battling for 7th place, so At this point, if it gets upset, I would just be shocked. I'm already kind of shocked that it's going for 7th place here, but again, Talon, pretty good opponent. We'll see if it has enough to win. And our winner of 7th place is Afterburn with 71% of the vote. So Afterburn will be our 7th place victor in the B&M Invert Tournament. All right, time for the 5th place matchup. We have 2 European coasters going head-to-head here. We have Nemesis versus Black Mamba. Some would argue these are the 2 best inverts in Europe. Nemesis, I think, has the edge here, but what's nice about Nemesis to me is just how unique it is. It's so low to the ground, it's got those tunnels, and it just looks like such a unique ride. I love rides that can offer a different experience, where as Black Mamba, it looks fun. I love the theming on it, but it looks like it has a lot of similarities to other inverts that I've been on before, so I'm not sure how much of a different experience it can offer, though again, I've never been on it, so I can't really fairly judge it, but just kind of going off the eye test here, I would say that I would prefer Nemesis in this matchup. But I don't know. Let's see who won. And Nemesis will take 5th place with 58% of the vote. So Nemesis, 5th place in the B&M Invert Tournament. Okay, it is time for our 3rd place matchup. We have Alpengeist at Busch Gardens Williamsburg versus Raptor at Cedar Point. And this is going to be a crazy one. I haven't seen the result for this yet, but just the fact that Alpengeist has made it this far, I'm just wondering if it's going to continue its run and get 3rd place. Like, I didn't even have it seeded in the top 8, and that just could have been a misseed by me. But I had to just kind of go off of what I've been hearing in the community, and I don't know. I don't hear that much about Alpengeist, but again, I'm also located out here in the Midwest, so that could be another reason why I haven't. It could have a chance to win here. However, my gut just says that the Cedar Point fanboys are going to push Raptor over the edge here, though that theory could be blown out of the water because Montu absolutely killed Raptor in that semifinal matchup. So I don't know, my confidence in Raptor has been shaken a little bit, but I think it still barely gets over the edge here. That's going to be my prediction. We'll see if I'm right. The winner of Alpengeist versus Raptor is... What a magical run. We have Alpengeist with 53% of the vote taking 3rd place in our B&M Invert Tournament. I want to hear your comments below about that one. Did I misseed it, or is this actually like a shocking victory for Alpengeist? I want to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below on that one. But yeah, Alpengeist takes out Raptor and gets 3rd place. What a run from Alpengeist at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. All right, it is time to determine our champion in the B&M Invert Tournament, the first one I've ever held on this channel, and it's been a fun tournament to see all these results so far, but it's come down to Banshee at Kings Island versus Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa. And I would say that both coasters I don't find them to be similar at all. Yes, they both are B&M inverts. They have the same style, obviously, but the layout seems so different. Like, Montu seems a little bit lower to the ground and very compact, and it's just got so many tight elements, and it goes super quick through its layout. I mean, it is flying through each element. Whereas Banshee seems to be a little bit, I wouldn't say slower, but it has bigger elements, so it takes them a little bit slower. Like the 0G roll, in my opinion, is not as snappy as it is on other invert models, and that's just because of how high up it is. However, that height really gives Banshee such a different factor to it. That first drop on Banshee is absolutely insane. It's my favorite drop on any B&M invert I've been on, and that really makes the ride for me. When you're sitting in the back and you get that yank over that first drop, it is absolutely wild. Some of the craziest airtime that I've gotten on B&M invert coasters, and you typically don't use the word airtime when you're talking about a B&M invert, but you certainly get it on that drop there. And also that slow incline twist at the end is such a unique factor. I will say one thing that I like about Montu is that it uses the older restraints instead of the vest restraints. The vest restraints can be very uncomfortable and can sort of take away from the experience, so that kind of gives me some points for Montu as well. As far as what I would personally pick, it's a close one, but I would pick Banshee just a little bit over Montu. However, it has been a while since I've been on Montu, so I think I need to ride it again just to kind of reimagine that experience because it's been so long, I kind of forgot what it was like, whereas Banshee, I was just on it a couple months ago. So that's why I'm able to have a fresher opinion on Banshee here. But I would say I'd give Banshee the slight edge in my rankings. And I think Banshee gets a slight edge as well here. I think also because it's the newer invert that it's going to have some kind of advantage here. I don't know why I feel that way, but I think that because it's newer, more people are going to kind of recognize the name Banshee. But I don't know. And our winner of the B&M Invert Tournament is... it is going to be Montu with 59% of the vote. So Montu wins our first ever B&M Invert Coaster Tournament. And congratulations to Busch Gardens Tampa and Montu for a great victory in a tightly packed, very competitive tournament here with a couple upsets thrown in. This was a phenomenal tournament to run, and I would definitely like to do this one again in the future, especially with that new invert opening in Europe and hopefully some more inverts to come down the line. It would be a fun tournament to redo here. So Montu is our victor, and I just want to thank everybody who participated in this tournament. I think we had just under 600 that voted for this one. But yeah, I mean, it is just so awesome to see you all participating and giving your opinions here. And I just love the feedback that I get on these tournaments. That's why I love doing them. And I am so happy to provide more for you. And the next one that we're going to do is going to focus a little less on the specific coasters, and it's going to be focused on the manufacturers. Yes, we are going to do the Manufacturers Cup. The first time I've ever done this as well. We're going to have the manufacturers square off in a bracket of 16 here. And I will be releasing the bracket a little bit later after this video is released, so you'll definitely want to head over to our Instagram page where I'm going to be releasing the details on that tournament, and also we'll be having the voting this week as well. So if you haven't, I would recommend following us on Instagram so you can participate in the next tournament and more battles to come. I also post pictures and just keep you updated on my trips. So if you're interested in that stuff too, maybe you don't care much for the tournaments, I post all of my trips and I do stories on there all the time regarding my theme park visits. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram. I'd really appreciate it. And also, if you haven't, subscribed to Destination Thrills, as we're the destination for all the latest theme park news, coaster battles, and content. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see another battle, I will link our latest tournament, the Six Flags Magic Mountain Tournament, in the card above, as well as more videos down below. So make sure you go and check those out as well. You guys stay safe out there and have a good one.